Hello everyone, I greet in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Newton Silas, and today we'll be taking out the second segment of Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. Of course, in the first segment, we look at his life, we look at him as a philosopher, we also look at him as an Islamic scholar, and then we'll be able to establish, understand this fact that, of course, he went on to study, understand philosophy so that he can be able to teach the people, you understand, about the Greek civilization, for them to understand how they can be able to integrate both, you understand, with religion. That's those, you understand, that will not demean or go against Islam. So today we'll be taking out, you understand, the second segment with Karen and then also Dr. Timothy Winter. So if today happens to be the first time of you checking out my channel, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on my Facebook and Instagram. And if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section and I'm going to check it out. So guys, before we get on to the video, I'm a theologian and I make this video not to discredit anyone's religion. This is basically for educational purposes, and I believe that at the end of this video we all are going to learn from this. So guys, without any further ado, let's get on to this video and check this out.
Welcome back to Matters of Faith. We're talking to Abdul Hakim Murad, a great expert on one of the greatest scholars ever in the Islamic world, Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. Now, you were mentioning how this important, this enormous scholar, the summit of the scholars, had self-doubts about his own intentions. And in fact, it went as far as him having a crisis, doubting himself so much that his intentions perhaps weren't pure, that he did it for his own glory rather than to please God. Now, what did he do, this great scholar, to correct himself?
Well, Ghazali is unusual amongst medieval Muslims in that he actually wrote about himself and his own experiences. He has a short autobiography. It's almost an autobiography, not quite. Some of it is slightly stylized, which he calls The Deliverer from Error, a title which seems to indicate that he wants other people to read it in order to be delivered from their own errors. It's not just his memoirs. And what the book doesn't tell us is the actual nitty-gritty of the policies, the spiritual techniques which he adopted in order to heal this catastrophic crisis that had deprived him even of the power of speech. But we can more or less extrapolate and work out what he was doing, because he was not original in heading for the desert and looking for certainty in solitude and meditation. It was a very widespread practice of the time. In fact, the deserts were kind of full of people who were out there looking for truth and looking to get away from the rat race. What people would do in that situation, which was called siyahat, which means travelling for the sake of God, would be to leave behind them all of their distractions and attachments and confusions and the million and one things that fill up our minds and our lives with useless futilities, in order to clear the mind of that so that one can actually focus and the mind can be a single thing rather than a lot of thoughts jumping around in different directions with its actual coherence and even the soul itself being lost sight of. So he was looking for clarity, for a settling of the mud in the heart so that the heart would once again be like a pure lake which could fulfill its original function. He has this rather beautiful image of the human soul as being like a lake or a reservoir that is always polluted because the five senses are bringing in all kinds of rubbish. You look at this, you hear that, and the mind imagines the other. And therefore, at every moment, you're kind of distracted, and hence the soul is polluted, it's muddy, it's turbid. And he says what you have to do is to cut yourself off from all of those things that are bringing in this confusion, this turbulence. And then it will finally settle down as sediment, and the water will be pure again. And then you can see what the lake is for, which is to reflect the light of heaven. It's pure and it can perform its function, which is to be a kind of mirror. The human soul is supposed to be a mirror which reflects the light of God, and there's hadith which indicate this. But the mirror is polluted by our sins, stupidity, absent-mindedness, laziness, all of the stuff that we do. So what he's saying is, you have to engage in what he calls tajreed, which means stripping away. Get rid of those attachments, get rid of those preoccupations, the quest for prestige and for status and for money and for all of that rubbish, which is just distracting you from being cool and calm and limpid and yourself. And he expresses this actually in terms of coming alive. He says that when we're at the mercy of our worldly attachments, we're not fully living. We're kind of in a daze, in a half-somnolent state of being a sleepwalker. We're not really paying attention to where we are. But religion is there in order to wake us up. And the Quran says, Allah is calling you lima yuhyikum, to what gives you life. But we know, because of the fact that he eventually leaves the desert and goes back to his family and goes back to the city and starts teaching again and does all of his old things, that Islam is not about running away from your responsibilities and running away from the world. And we have the example of the Holy Prophet who, having been in the presence of God on the night of the Ascension, returns to the hassle of space and time and Quraysh and the idols and all of the rubbish that he has to deal with. Why? Because he is a responsible human being who wants to help others. And just as the Holy Prophet comes back, because it's his duty and his privilege and his joy to help others, although he'd rather be with God, Imam al-Ghazali comes out of the desert back into society in order to try and help others. And the Ihya Ulumuddin, the revival of the religious sciences, his great, huge, heavy encyclopedia, his manifesto, is all about his invitation to us to come alive again. That's why he calls it Ihya, bringing to life the disciplines of religion. He says, what is a worse catastrophe than to go through your life in a state of kind of comatose distraction? That's not what we were created for. We were created to be alert. Our lives may be really simple and uneventful, but it's better to be aware of yourself, your mortality, your family, who you are, truly alive, than to be a billionaire who's kind of worried and distracted and confused and stressed out all the time and never fully centered in himself. So it's a radical agenda, but you can see why it's attractive and why it has appealed to so many people.
He was called a mujaddid, a renewer of religion. Could you tell us a little bit about the concept of renewer of religion?
Yes, it's interesting in that Islam believes that human history is revived by prophets, but that within the lifespan of a prophetic religion, as it were, there can be smaller renewals. And in Islam, these individuals who bring that about are called mujaddid, which just means renewer. And universally, the scholars of Islam and the historians say that Imam al-Ghazali was the renewer of the 5th Islamic century. And people were saying that even during his own lifetime. When they look at the criteria, what's the checklist for being a renewer, they will say, it doesn't mean that you write the best book that's ever existed on theology, or that you win an amazing battle. It has to be a revival of the religion in its sort of holistic totality. And that's particularly what Imam al-Ghazali did, because he wanted to renew the community politically and ethically and spiritually and intellectually and in every possible way, and to bring back the original primal wholeness and mutuality that existed in the souls of the companions of the Prophet, for whom there was no separate science of theology and then law and logic, and everything was just deen, everything was religion. So the mujaddid, the renewer in Islamic history, is the one who shows the coherence of all of the different parts of religion and the way in which they together lead to the immense simplicity which is the sunnah of the Holy Prophet.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about your new work. You are, in fact, very much involved. You've always been involved for so long in Ghazali's work. You've published books about Ghazali, and now you've got a series called Traveling Light. Can you tell us about this?
That's right. I mean, this has a number of reasons. One reason is that al-Ghazali's Ihya Ulumuddin is a big book, even by medieval standards. It's actually 40 books. Not many of us have time to read a text that you can hardly lift, especially the young people. We're all busy. The format nowadays is MP3, it's audio, it's iPods, it's DVDs. And so what this is an attempt to condense the essence of the Ihya into 40 hours of lectures, given by different lecturers in different places, so that people at least get the essence, the gist of the ihya in a format that they're comfortable with. So they come home from work and they're tired and they don't really want to pick up a book and look at footnotes, but they can just about summon up the energy to turn on the DVD player, and there's, we have nice songs in it and beautiful places and nice mosques, and it's kind of visually very striking. And then they get the message of Imam al-Ghazali. Because of where we are culturally, this is the way in which he has to speak to our generation.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful speaking to you.
Thank you.
We learned so much about how to transform our lives, how to awaken, thanks to al-Ghazali. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for inspiring us here on Matters of Faith, and may this traveling light travel far and wide. Thank you very much for being with us here on Matters of Faith, and we shall see you again very soon. Goodbye.
That's a very interesting video. At least this happens to be the second segment of Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. At least we're able to understand some of the reforms, some of the things he do, how he was able to even influence Islam itself. Because when you watch this video from the first segment down to this very segment, you realize that at some point some of the Islamic books, their history and all those things, we are almost lost. Okay, everything is more or less gone. But then when Ghazali came, he tried to reform those things, right? Then you realize that he did a lot of work. But in this very second segment, was actually talking about how at some point Ghazali was somehow, I don't know, should I say he was having a doubt about his religion, and then he began to think, and then that brought about the spiritual, should I say, the transformation in his life, that he have to go to the desert, being there for over 10 years before he now returned back, to the people, when he was able to at least have answers, or how he think that things should be done. Then you can be able to understand how this man have to go through so many things. Because the truth about this is at some point, as a human, okay, at some point you will just be there, right, in your religion, and then you begin to start thinking as if you are giving up, as if something is not just tally, as if something is wrong, right? At that point, it happens to be your weakest, point at that point in time. And then in that kind of situation, if care is not taken, that is when you used to see some people can even decide and say that since this God, maybe probably it's not working, right? Now, let's look at the philosopher of Abu al-Ghazali in his time, and then with some of the Greek philosophers, and then in this very our 21st century. Of course, I'm a Christian, and then I know that most of you who are listening to me are Muslim, and then you bear with me that in Islam, for instance, we have the Quran, right? And then we have a lot of hadith that people wrote concerning the Prophet, that's by the scholars. Now, how did technology comes to influence Islam? I mean, in the positive way. Now, we could look at it this way, that probably the Quran, right, we used to have it in the hard copy, but at this point in time, you can actually have it in soft copy. It means that you can read it from your phone, your iPad, your tablet, and all those things, and your computers, right? But before, it don't used to be like that. Again, we could talk about technology in the sense that before, during that time, maybe before this technology is just almost everywhere. Before, people can go in the media, of course, people normally watch all these things only maybe probably in the TV, right? People are not private to even have all these computers and all those things like the way it is now. People have phones and the rest of it. Now somebody can go on the television and say Islam is this, Islam is barbaric, Islamic is religion of terror, violence, oppression, and all that, right? Then people just listen to it, and then whatever they say is what they take, right? But this technology was able to give people an opportunity that you can be able to dispute some of these things. What you think is right, you say it, and then at that point in time, people were able to. Now, at this point in time, people can be able to preach Islam, irrespective of where you find yourself. You can actually preach Islam, talk about what Islam stands for, and then you can be able to separate, people who use Islam for, should I say, their political interests or to suit particular agenda they want to do, right? And then you come to like separate them from people who really practice true Islam. Now, technology was able to like help to improve the religion, but then if you are to look at the technology or how it started, you bear with me that science does not actually believe in the existence of God. But this is a situation whereby we're trying to find a way, okay, let's take what we know that it will help us do, whereas then we just discard it. We get the point here. I think that's exactly what Abu al-Ghazali was actually doing in his own time. He tried to feel like, okay, in the Greek philosophy, even though they don't believe in the existence of God, but what do they really believe in? And some of the things they do that they can be able to like help to impact the people, why don't we kind of make use of those things? So that's how I think I understand it. But then it's very interesting video, and then this video like is kind of open to everyone, okay, for people to contribute concerning this. I know that a lot of you have thought an opinion in a sense concerning this, about him, some of the books he wrote. I know that of course people are even laughing at him and all those things, but then at the end of the day, everyone still understand about the impact he actually have, you understand, in Islam, that's in the Islam as a religion, right? And then also its people. So I know that a lot of you have thought an opinion, and I wanted to drop it at the comment section. I know that we have a lot of scholars who have actually contributed a lot when it comes to propagation of Islam, okay? And I want you to just drop it at the comment section so that we can listen to some of their works, some of the things, understand, that they have done, so that we in this our very 21st century can actually learn from some of those things that these great men have done, so that we too can also contribute, understand, to it too. Of course, who knows, this could serve as a motivation for other people to feel like, oh look, we don't have to come to this very earth and then just return back, knowing fully well that we have a lot of potentials, and then we do not utilize, understand, those potentials to actually impact people, you understand, in our society, right? So because of this, some people could decide that, okay, let me begin to start doing something. Somebody could feel like, of course, I have a lot of things that I want to do, right? So why not I try to put it, in a sense, into writings, and then see if that can be able to like help, in a sense, to better the world itself, how it's going to benefit, in a sense, everyone. Like, I went to school. I know I studied so many programs, in a sense, while I was in school. I actually studied information technology, IT, yeah, for 4 years. And then at the course of it, when I finished, I tend to develop, in a sense, an application in the sense that in terms of the health, so that people go to the hospital, right? And then you have to see a doctor, and the doctor have to write prescription for you. And then after that, before you can be able to, whatever happened, then from there, you are being treated, right? But then I just felt like, or my project that I was given was, you know, this is a problem, because when you look at it, in a sense, things are changing, right? And then I feel like, okay, why not, in a sense, having, in a sense, an application, in the sense that maybe probably if you are sick, feeling sick, right? And then let's look at the symptoms. Maybe you are feeling headache, you are feeling, then from there we can be able to decide, okay, if we go to join these symptoms and this symptom and this symptom, it means this person have malaria, or it means this person with this symptom means this person have ulcer. These symptoms, you understand? So at this point in time, we don't have to have all the doctors have to be available. No, all you just need to be able to like go through the system, say whatever that is bothering you, and then from there it can be able to write the prescription for you, and then the prescription will now show per your age. The age will now be able to like tell the dosage that you are going to take, whether it will involve injection and all those things. So from there you can actually take it to the pharmacy, and then from there everything, in a sense, is done. A very interesting application. I don't know one day we could discuss that, but then that's by the way. All I'm trying to say is that we make use of the sciences, right, to be able to do things we think it will still benefit, you understand, the people, which I think that this is exactly what, you understand, al-Ghazali was actually doing. But then your thought and opinion are all welcome at the comment section. Let's all hear from you. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, if you like, share and subscribe, and if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it in the comment section, and I'm going to check it out. So guys, you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video. Bye bye.